was an all-male, completely male sales team. And I was like, I'll go in there, I'll beat the boys, I'll do more calls, I'll do more sales. That was the hardest time because I was the only woman and I was 18, 19 years old, I was a teenager. The next day, I look on the Daily Mail, I click on it, every single one was about my weight, like negatively.
From Ministry of Work, welcome to Greater Manchester's Greatest Minds, a show about Greater Manchester's pioneers, entrepreneurs and visionaries, and the stories that brought their ideas to life. I'm Eddie Whittingham, and on today's show, we speak with Sophie Brown, tech sales leader, education advocate, and former reality TV star whose story defies easy labels. From dropping out of university at 18 to carving out a top-tier career in Manchester's tech and startup scene, Sophie's rise is built on self-belief, adaptability, and a serious knack for selling. But behind the success story is a woman who's also navigated online scrutiny, ADHD, and the emotional fallout of fame following a high-profile turn on Channel 4's Married at First Sight. So
I'm from Cheltenham. I grew up there. I always say the Cotswolds. It's not quite the Cotswolds, but we group it as that, yeah. Especially when I tell people in the north. It's an amazing place. Absolutely love it. I'd love to live there in the future. Got a younger brother. He's 22 months younger than me. And my mum and dad, we're a really strong family unit. My parents are together, have been for years. My dad's 70 now. My mum's 65. So they still live in Cheltenham. And growing up, my dad, he is still an antiques dealer. Oh, probably. Cool. The longest standing antiques dealer in the UK, I would think. Yeah. Genuinely.
That's amazing. And what was school like for you? Are you quite academic naturally?
I think I started out pretty academic, to be honest, as do some people. And then I feel like I got diagnosed with ADHD at 26. But I don't know how prevalent it was. It must have been when I was a kid, but it wasn't picked up by anyone. And I was slightly naughty, but not.
Though it was probably then when people didn't. It's more recent that people are attuned to it, right? And probably then they just presumed you were a bit hyper or a bit naughty or a bit, couldn't sit still.
Yeah, and I really wasn't that bad in the grand scheme of things. So I went to a really lovely, tiny little village school, 6 people in my year. I think there was, 3 girls, 3 boys, and it was lovely. Birdlet Primary School. It was on the top of a hill. It was very cute. And then I went to a big secondary school, all girls grammar school. So I did the 11 plus, not paid for, but obviously you have to get a certain grade. Mm-hmm. And I went from being top of the year group. I was literally got the best report in the year and got to decorate the Christmas tree my first year. And by the end of year 11, I was on report and everything. So it just kind of went, but I was reasonably academic. I wasn't bad, all right grades. I'd revise last minute, panic and that kind of thing. But I didn't love the all girls school at all.
Why? What is that led you to get on report and things like that?
I don't know. I think I just potentially for me, I know some of my friends actually quite liked it because they didn't have to make an effort. Like there were no boys or anything, so we didn't have to really, we would wear makeup and stuff, but it wasn't that same environment. But I think I get on with guys a lot. I obviously work in a male dominated industry, have done for years. I was very sporty, loved all of that. So I think just being around girls all the time that were really cliquey. And I wasn't in the most popular group. I was kind of on the outskirts of everything. I almost was, because I was quite sporty and that kind of thing. Yep. But I just wasn't. And I was a very easy target because I react so easily when people try and aggravate me. So I think I didn't love it. And by the end, I was so done with it.
And what came next? What's after school? Did you go eventually to university or?
Well, I went to sixth form, which arguably was 2 of the best years of my life. I went to Balcarras in Cheltenham, which was selective. They wouldn't let many people in externally. They kind of kept everybody that had moved up, and then they would have a few extra people, and you had to interview. And I thought I was going to go to the boys' grammar school for sixth form, but I didn't get in. Best thing that happened to me, because I went to Balcarras and it was phenomenal. I absolutely loved it. I made all new friends. I was the new kind of exciting person and I fit right in. It was absolutely fantastic. Loved it. And then went to university in UE, because at sixth form especially, I don't think it's quite the same in college, because you can do your apprenticeships, you can kind of pick, which I didn't really know was a thing. I work in education now, and I'm all of these things available to kids. I just didn't see any of that.
No, it's mad, isn't it? I sort of reference that quite a lot, and the studio manager will hate me for it, but it was kind of when I was growing up, it was the happy family pack of cards. You want to be a policeman, a butcher, a postman. And then the routes to do those things were all very set in stone. And, yeah, but not as accessible now as it was or as it is now?
You can do anything now. And I even tried to do a business course when I was choosing my GCSEs. I was that young. And I remember I went down to the local sixth form, or like the college. It was down in Brockworth. Did a business day. Loved it. They kept me at the end and they said, you were brilliant. You know, you were great today. You should do it. Told my head teacher and they said, we can't really accommodate it within this school. You'd have to do double IT and things like this. I just think it was something that was new and they didn't really want to accommodate it. And at that age, at 13, I wanted to do something businessy and I didn't end up doing it.
Really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I would have loved to have done, but probably should have done a college situation or some kind of apprenticeship. But yeah, went to UE in Bristol. I basically picked what's far enough away from my parents that I can go and stay at the uni. Close enough that I can go home.
I can run home if I need to. Yeah.
Exactly. So I thought Bristol's pretty good. But UE, you're on French A campus, which is about 40 minutes from town on the bus. It was just a bit out of it. Didn't enjoy it. And I did 3 months and owed about $7,000 even from that. And I left. I up and left.
Wow. Big decision.
Huge.
Did you just hate it though?
I didn't hate it. I just thought it was, I tell you what, it was a big decision. I am kind of proud of myself for that because I do think I could have just stayed sat there.
Yeah, and also there's probably a bit of peer pressure and a bit of pressure from, not necessarily family in a negative way, but expectations that you've gone to, therefore you're going to complete it. And a lot of people would just, I guess, be unhappy for 3 years.
Well, exactly. And I've seen it happen as well. And it was a big gamble. All my friends were enjoying themselves, but I thought, you can't just stay here. I got into the top team of cheerleading and I genuinely think that was the one reason I wanted to stay. I thought, come on, you can't. I used to go see, I had a boyfriend at the time that was at Cardiff Uni and I loved going to Cardiff. And I think I just thought, I didn't get into one of the Russell groups or whatever. And I was like, what's the point? I might as well just go out and get a job. Thankfully, so my parents, like I said, dad's an antique dealer. My mum was in the entertainment business. She did lots of different roles and singing and acting and modelling and lots of things, but both, quite creative and very entrepreneurial and that kind of thing. So uni was never on the cards. So they understood it. My sort of uncles and cousins and things did not. They own businesses. I remember at Christmas, because that's when I was deciding. I think they were a bit like, are you sure about this? And I was like, yeah, I made my decision. I've always done that. My decisions are I just sort of back myself.
I like that.
I can get out of it.
I rate that. And what did you do next? How did you get a job straight away?
Yeah, straight away. So I worked at Ernest Jones, the jewellers in Cheltenham over Christmas. Yep. And I started earning commission. And I was like, I'm quite good at this. And I really enjoyed it. People were coming in and buying engagement rings and Christmas presents. And I just loved, I remember I was supposed to be training behind the till, but it was so busy. I was trying to serve everyone. They were like, can you just wait? You're not quite ready yet. But I was just raring to go. Loved it. Started getting, 1.5% commission or something. Absolutely pathetic. But I was topping up my own salary. I thought, okay, so you can do jobs where you get paid something and then you can actually earn on top based on your own, how competent you are and how good you are at selling. And I really, really enjoyed it. I remember we had a booklet and it said you can do a course at Ernest Jones that was some kind of, not apprenticeship, but some or leadership thing. So you could move through and everyone looked at me like I was crazy. They were like, you're not dropping out of university to do this.
And I was, go on the career ladder at Ernest Jones.
Ernest Jones. But I was like, it's not just about it was about that trajectory and it was kind of seeing a vision that I don't think I'd seen before. University for me was 3 years and then what?
Yeah,
40,
and then
50
it's a
grand.
bit of an open field kind of, where'd you go from there, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think I just took it into my own hands. And yeah, I interviewed for a job in Cirencester. I went through a recruitment agency and I remember they really grilled me because they were testing my interview skills. And I was like, okay, this is not easy. This is quite difficult. I was 18. I was very young, but I'd had a few jobs. And yeah, I got this job in Cirencester. I basically went in there and it was an completely male sales team. And I was like, I'll go in there. I'll beat the boys. I'll do more calls. I'll do more sales. I was like, look, I've got it in me. I can do this. And they hired me over people that had degrees.
And that's
on 15 grand a year.
yeah. Well, yeah. Imagine that, doing a degree for 15 grand, but hey.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
and you've got in to beat them. So that went well, presumably. You did all right at that?
Yeah, it was really tough. It was a very...
What were you selling?
So it was refurb infrastructure, tech equipment. So it was servers and things. They'd literally, so we had the world's worst office because it was backed onto a warehouse. So it was on this estate in Cirencester, a business estate, the worst office. And then just because we had the massive warehouse and we'd have the goods in, goods out, and we'd have the tech guys that would actually refurb these things and we'd send them back out. My first job was a list of German numbers and I had to bring them. And I had I was like, it was just mental. And I was just picking up the phone. I was just doing it. I was so like tenacious at that age. And I had said to them, I'd go in and do it. So I had to, do what I said I'd do. But I had one call and they picked up and they were like, are you joking? And they were like, this person's passed away, don't ring us again. And I was like, oh my goodness. And that was like, but I just kept going. And I moved on from that. And then I started bringing, doing a lot of BD stuff and sales things. And I learned everything in that job. It was like a broker role. So we were buying and selling, sort of flipping kit.
Yeah, so you weren't just on the phone. You were actually getting a bit more experience than just purely hammering a phone, for example.
Yeah, like it wasn't just a lead gen role, where a lot of people do start, which, my UK fast role actually started out as that, which was different than I thought it'd be. But it actually gave me quite a well-rounded, because I was doing the same role. It was an account manager role, but it's very salesy as the rest of the, the people that had been there 10 years. Obviously they were a lot, more proficient and advanced, and they were earning a lot more and had a lot more clients, but it was still the same role. So I was learning a heck of a lot then. But that was the hardest time because I was the only woman and I was 18, 19 years old. I was a teenager and it was a very difficult environment. I changed myself for that environment. They did not adapt themselves to having a woman in the team.
Yeah. How did you have to change yourself?
I think I swear so much now because they literally would pick up the phone.
It's lasting changes.
It was, yes, it's still, it's a lasting stamp on me. But I think I just adapted. I would say as a skill, I'm quite an adaptable person. I think I just sort of molded into how they were. And I kind of, because I look back and I do think a lot of kind of what went on wasn't I'd say acceptable, but it just wasn't the type of environment you would want to be in as a female at that age. But at the time I was like, this is so fun and I'm having a great time. But yeah, I think I just adapted to them and like kind of the way that they were. And I was literally, I was a sponge. I was absorbing from everyone around me. So I just kind of embodied it. And
that was presumably set you up for the role in tech. So obviously selling refurbished tech at that point.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was actually really brilliant because obviously when I left uni, I was like, right, something salesy, something commercial. That's what we like and that's what we think we're good at. We've proven ourselves a little bit in the jewelry shop. And then it was like, what industry? But I didn't really think about that then. But that was okay. I think I kind of fell into tech. And then from there, it led me through this great career. I mean, that's how, I got the UK fast role. The CEO found me on LinkedIn and that's how that started. And then my roles, I mean, I think back and I was, working with solution architects to design massive infrastructure and people moving from physical infrastructure to cloud. And like, it was really amazing. Like I started to...
And how do you learn that stuff? Because it's complicated stuff if you're sort of new to it. You've not done a degree in it. Well,
yeah, I mean, like I said, I honestly was a bit of a sponge. And I think you're making money, so that's exciting. So the better you are and the more you understand it. I was an account manager.
The incentive's there to learn, right?
Well, exactly. I think if I wasn't incentivized, right, this is probably the thing. I wasn't incentivized at uni, was I?
No.
So the self-motivation wasn't there. You introduce a bit of money, I'm probably a lot more likely to do it. So that's kind of how I operated. But I also just really, I think I innately want to show people, like prove to people that I'm good and that I'm good at something and them think that I am. And I think that I kind of thrive on that and I crave that. I like people to tell me and give me good feedback. Like it's something that I thrive on. But I used to do things like, so I started in a lead gen role, which was very different than what I thought it was going to be. I thought they hired me as an account manager.
This is at UK Fast, is it?
Yes.
So this is what brought you to Manchester.
This is what brought me, yes. So I got LinkedIn message from the CEO. He called me from the slopes of Verbier, like, come in for an interview. I was like, oh my gosh, I was 21 and I didn't do uni. So I was like, oh my gosh, move to Manchester, just do it. Again, these huge decisions that I knew no one.
On a whim. Yeah.
Literally. But I was like, my parents and things, I was very lucky. Like my dad was literally like, absolutely, get out that door, go move to that city, absolutely do it. So it was always like, I was always going to do it. But I went and interviewed and I actually interviewed, he messaged me about PA role, but I didn't get that, thankfully. Then they wanted me in sales, but they basically put everyone in a lead gen team, which is to learn about the bit. I understand why they do it, but when you move your whole life from somewhere, when you've done 2 years,
you've been sort of sold a
different
dream.
And I'd done 2 years as an account manager. That's nothing, and I was really young. But at that age, I'm like, I'm experienced.
I've done it. I should be director now.
Literally, I was like, come on. So I moved my whole life there with a girl I found on Spare Room. We moved in together. Thankfully, that went pretty well, actually. We really got on. And I went and did this job and I hated it. because it was literally, we had our phone, and it was a physical phone then, and we had a questionnaire on screen, and it was the 3 questions. What do you like about your hosting provider? What don't you like about your hosting provider?
There's no flexibility in there whatsoever to do what you're probably good at, which is talk to people, selling, etc.
Well, I'm not a hard sell. Literally, I'm such a consultative seller. I like to build trust with people, rapport. I like to not sell to people without them really feel like they're being sold to. I mean, people do like that a little bit. They like that back and forth. But oh my gosh, this was hell to me. So I did that. But they kind of kept saying to me, no, you are really competent at this. You will move into the sales team. You just have to kind of go through this process. And I did that for 6 months, every day. But it was fun. You know, it was young people.
Yeah.
The office environment was great. We'd have drinks on a Friday. We'd do loads of fun stuff. I just sort of bought into it.
Fair enough. Good environment at the time?
Yeah, at the time. Yeah, definitely. My first boss there was Izzy, who you've had on the pod, and there were amazing people around me. So the learning, back to this is my ADHD brain, but we were talking about how I learned about about tech and everything. So in that role, I just wanted to progress. And I took things into my own hands. Like, I went and spoke to the director of account management, and I said I want to be in this team, and she was aware of that. So that kind of like built our, I'm very much about the kind of self-promotion and building yourself.
100%. If you don't ask, you don't get, all that sort of stuff. People don't do that enough, I don't think.
No, they don't. And when I speak to younger people, I'm like, look, your personal brand within your business is so important. If you don't self-promote yourself, no one else is going to. So, I would listen to, there was a girl called Josie as well. She was brilliant. She was in the enterprise team. I would listen to her calls on my drive back to Cheltenham.
Wow.
So QA would send me them. I'm talking like 2-hour consultation calls she'd do, and I would have them playing through my car as I drove back to Cheltenham.
And that's interesting, because not many people would do that. Everyone likes to think, I want to progress in my career. But are they actually doing the hard yards? Because that's the hard stuff, and probably not the most entertaining drive home. But you're doing that because you want to better yourself. And I think a lot of people are a bit shy. They want it, but don't put the work in to match it.
I think as well, this is why I push that kind of self-promotion point with younger people, because I just think they're a bit more like lost now. I don't know what it is like, and everybody's different. Like I said, I think especially because of my dad and things like that, I had this kind of innate tenacity and kind of drive to do big things and kind of push myself out my comfort zone all the time, which is actually a bit detrimental sometimes, but it's always been there. But a lot of people don't have that, and I understand that. And I kind of, when I speak to students as well, have to understand that not everyone's like me.
Yeah, and how do we teach that?
Yeah, it's tricky, but I think talking about the self-promotion and the self-branding, and I always tell them to, make a LinkedIn and things like that, because it's hugely important, but you can only do so much. I think that it's so hard with like the digital age and things like that.
Yeah. It's probably, although I think it's getting easier to stand out because less people are doing it.
Yeah,
possibly.
True.
So obviously that seems to go quite well for you at UK Fast.
Yeah.
What's next?
So I did 3 years there, moved up. I was account management, senior account management, team leader. And then I moved into a slightly more strategic partner role. So that was a bit of a pivot for me. And that kind of shaped the next part of my career, which was good because I enjoyed the sales, but I wanted to be more strategic, more partnership, more collaboration, and going and visiting clients and pitching things and having these conversations and that kind of thing. So pivoted into this role. I actually moved back down to Cheltenham for about 8 months. And then I went back to Manchester and I was like, right, I've done over 3 years at UK Fast. It's time to move on. And I left in that February, I think 2 weeks before that date of the furlough thing and all of the, I was like, because it was a nightmare.
Bad timing, yeah.
I was like, I've saved a bit of money. I'm going to have, a month off while looking for a job. I was like going to the gym in the morning and like having these lovely long mornings, having coffees and everything. And then that happened. And I was interviewing a lot. I got another sales job and it was for like a legal CRM company. And I remember they let the races happen. And then I was at Cheltenham races on the Friday, Gold Cup day. And I got a call and they said, we've rescinded your offer. We're really sorry because of COVID. And I was there. I was literally at the races like, what am I going to do? Does this mean the whole world is like, because no one was that worried at that point.
No, it was still a bit unknown as to what's going to happen next.
Yeah. And suddenly literally my job had been taken away from me. And I thought, okay. So that didn't happen at that time. But then I put something out on LinkedIn. There's a theme in this. I've done this a few times. Again, this is why I talk about it because it's just so brilliant. I'd built up some connections and the Hut Group got in touch. that day, I couldn't actually believe it. I remember I was at my parents'. I put the post out on LinkedIn. I think it might have been the post got over 100,000 impressions.
Wow.
Only one that's ever done that. Absolutely flew.
Yeah, it got you a job.
Well, it got me a job. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. Someone from the Hut Group replied, and I'd obviously heard of them, huge entity in the Northwest, and it was within their Ingenuity Cloud Services team. And that day, I had an offer letter.
Wow.
For more money than I had previously been on.
And what had you post said? Just had an offer, it's been rescinded, now what?
Yeah, it was literally that. It was like, I know that there's, similar people in, people in similar positions, it's a bit of an uncertain time, but, can I reach out to my network, and I'm ready to start, I'm ready to go. These are my kind of skills, and please drop me a message or pass this to anyone. Kind of your standard post. And it just did really well, I think, because I remember someone at UK Fast, actually, someone in marketing who I didn't really get on with, copied it.
Oh, brilliant.
And just posted it.
Nice. Yeah, big fan of that.
Yeah.
If it worked for her. And did they get a job off the back of it, maybe? Who knows?
I don't know.
So then you come back up to Manchester.
Yes.
So drawn. Oh no. Or were you
Well, I
working
was already
from
back.
home? Or you work? Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was already back. So I was back in my flat. At this point, I lived in my own flat by myself.
Got you.
So that I was loving it. And then I got this new job at the Hut Group, but then I wasn't there very long. Essentially, they brought me in for a role that didn't exist. And it was cloud services was very new at that time. So we were literally doing everything, like the incoming tickets. And then part of my role was supposed to be sort of partnerships and things, but it was a bit all over the place and there was no structure. They'd acquired quite a lot of businesses to create cloud services. So it was quite a difficult role. So I ended up leaving there. There was no bad blood or anything. It just didn't work. So then I was kind of back to square one and did a bit of hospitality. In the busiest month of the year, eat out to help out. So it was, but I loved it. Like I absolutely thrived in that environment. But it just wasn't feasible for me to do full time.
No, and presumably, you've carved out a pretty decent name and career in sales at that point, and tech particularly. And presumably the pay was better and whatever else.
Yeah, but as a role, I enjoyed it. So then I went on the hunt again. And then the legal company got back in touch. We're ready to hire you now. So
what did you say?
I said yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I really liked the sound of it. And I realised after a couple of the previous companies I'd worked for, it's very important to look at Glassdoor and that kind of thing.
Yes.
And I would say that as a huge suggestion. Glassdoor, it is difficult because obviously employees can put reviews on that are maybe a little bit biased still, but you can kind of fish out the ones that are legit.
Yeah, it's one of them which it might attract more negative than it does positive, but generally if you're a decent company, you shouldn't have many negatives, really, generally. And
you will have the odd person, of course, people do write negative reviews and everybody has a different experience.
Yeah. Totally
fine. But if you're seeing a theme,
believe that theme.
Yeah.
Don't just pass it off as, because there was one company I worked at and they actually mentioned it in the induction week. They went, don't worry about the negative reviews. They're not real. Okay.
Yeah, which means they definitely are.
They definitely are. So something to be very aware of. And I do talk about that because Glassdoor is important. And I said to myself, just please look at these things. And, because I'd worked at, a couple of places where I should have done more. But I worked at this legal company. It was in lockdown, so we weren't allowed to. It was usually like a road. What do you call it when you're on the road and you sell?
Yeah, telesales. No,
well, no, like a anyway. Traveling salesperson, whatever it was. So it was like car allowance and stuff. But I didn't really want to be on the road, to be honest. So it was all from home.
Field sales
role. Thank you very much. So I was from my laptop. Working with a really good team. They'd look after us and we'd get like a delivery voucher some days for lunch and just little things, but they were good at looking after us. I felt quite safe in that team compared to, the first company I worked for, that kind of thing. So it was a nice environment. Had an office in town, so I could go into town and work there, which was nice. But I literally was making a really decent amount of money from sitting at home and doing the demos on my laptop to, legal businesses across the UK.
And why did you leave there?
Because the Hut Group got back in touch.
Okay.
So there's like a theme of people getting back in touch. So I did 8 months, I think, there. And I was doing really well. I was earning really good money. I think they were pretty impressed with me. Again, I was quite clever. So the first thing I did was, I didn't really like doing the cold BD stuff.
Yep.
So I got a whole list of all of the demos they'd done in like the last however many months.
It worked absolutely brilliantly because I got back in touch with these people and I was like, look, would you like another demo? What was the reason you didn't buy it? Blah, blah, blah. Rather than completely cold. Worked great. And I did really well there. So, but then basically the Hut Group said, we've got this channel partner role. It's much more carved out now. And I weighed it up and I was like, I'm in this sales role now, but I don't want to do sort of pure sales forever.
Yeah, forever.
I've got this more strategic channel partner role in the Hut Group, which is good for, the CV and that kind of thing. And I went off to that one.
And was it better this time?
It was better. Yeah. It was better. It was in the new office. I think we'd just moved. They've got a massive sort of campusy type, different buildings near the airport. Because going to the airport in the old office, I used to get the train and get off at the airport and be like, why am I not getting on a flight to somewhere hot? I'm walking across.
It's the worst place ever to work, right? Next to the airport.
Literally walked across the road into this building. It's really old and stuff. So it was great to have the new building. It was a bigger team. I was working cross Atlantic. I was working with San Antonio team. They had the channel partner and like the head of channel over there. So I'd work with them and it was much better. And it was more strategic and it was kind of more what I wanted to get into and partnerships and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's still in the tech space though.
Definitely. Yep. So Ingenuity, the platform, is their platform that they host e-com sites on. So they host their own internal sites like Look Fantastic and My Protein, the brands they own, but also external sites you can essentially host on that infrastructure. So we were not selling that infrastructure, actually, not selling the platform. Sorry, we were selling the infrastructure. So we were selling the infrastructure in our data centers. We had multiple data centers globally. So, yeah.
This is post-COVID now, is it?
It was just out the other side.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we were, just out. Okay. 2021?
Yeah. You then is it after that you then decide to go on TV? Or is there a few other bits along the way?
No, thankfully the next part is the show. So I applied for Married at First Sight. I think it was like in the summer where I was didn't have the role. So
got you.
Yeah, so I was like, I want to apply for this. I was a fan of the show, loved the Australian one. It's absolutely mental. And I was like, I genuinely, I know I was like
a bit of a crossroads, right?
Well, yeah, I just thought when you apply to these things, right, you sort of, it's like when you think when you buy a lottery ticket, you think, for 5 minutes you go, I'm going to buy this when I win the lottery. Yeah. And then you're like, obviously, it's not going to happen. And I was like, I'd love to meet someone, genuinely. I was 25 and I'd been single for a long time. I'd had one long-term boyfriend and then I'd been in Manchester having a good time. And I was like, I really want to find someone. And I do find it a bit hard. I don't love the dating scene. I'm not asking for much, but I'd love someone that is ambitious and kind of, similar to me and that kind of thing. So I thought, this would be great. I'm matching with someone amazing. So applied. Didn't hear anything. And then in the October, I got a message and it was like, we'd love to get in touch with you about this show. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I thought, right, don't get your hopes up or anything. And we started having calls and, video calls and not interviews, but like it basically, I had an hour-long call. Got the print screen of when the number came through and everything, but it was an hour and we just chatted for ages with one of the casting people. And that's like the initial thing to get a bit of a vibe. And then she went, okay, I really like you and we'd like to see more of you. We're going to do a video version of kind of what we've done. So I got all ready and everything. And then we did the video version and they record it. And that
to
was
use
kind
against you in future, presumably.
Well, in other series, they've actually brought their casting tapes out.
But not in yours.
Not in mine. And that lives there somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah, will do, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, so the thing is, I obviously had built this career before, right? And I didn't want to go on and be a reality star. Yeah. I didn't want to be, I wasn't doing it to be well known. Obviously, I understand the kind of
byproduct of it, yeah.
I'm not silly. I understand that. And it was exciting to me. I mean, I was young and it was how exciting. But I wanted to carry on my career. This wasn't going to be my, my thing. So even when I applied and everything, I didn't pitch myself as some kind of, crazy, I'm going to do this and cause this drama. I didn't do that because that's not what I was going to do. And that would have been false because I would have gone on the show and just been not the person in the casting video. Happens a lot. People do it all the time.
I can imagine.
It happened. Yeah, this is why it's frustrating because people in their casting videos are very different than how they actually are, which is a problem when you're dating them as well. But yeah, so went through this whole process and the whole time I was still working at the Hut Group, didn't mention anything to them because until you get the call that you're on it.
Yeah, and you don't, what's the point, right?
Oh, well, embarrassing, number one. It's like, and they would be like,
Yeah, if you went to your boss and you were like, by the way, I've applied for this huge dating show. Right, okay. What does that mean for us?
Yeah. Because how long are you actually out of action for? How long are you actually doing it for?
Quite a long time. I think I was off work for 9 weeks.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a hefty, as a show, it's
a time commitment.
It's a long one, yeah. The problem with this one as well, so you Love Islands and things like that, it's all live.
Yeah.
So when you're on there, it's being edited and put out that day. It's filmed for us on those 9 weeks, and then you're just supposed to go back to normal life, which is really tough after being in this bubble. And then in the September it comes out.
Oh,
so
shit. So how long between that finishing and it coming out?
Oh, felt like a lifetime. It was about 4 months.
And obviously you're walking down the street and no one knows you yet.
Yeah.
And then that changes
I'm
like 6
you
months
wait.
after the event. Yeah.
It is horrible. I went my first day back at the Hut Group. It wasn't their fault or anything, but I just cried my eyes out. Like, it was really tough to go from, but I was really thankful that I had my job, because a lot of people had to leave their jobs. Of course they had to.
Did you cry your eyes out because like you regret going on it, or you were missing it, or?
No, I think I was just like, okay, back to reality. This bubble you're in, right? Everything is sort of done for you, kind of. I can't explain. It's the weirdest thing. You're told where you're going. You know, people take everything, like all your bags down. You're put in a car and you're going, got no phone. You're cut off from the outside world. You're living with someone that like you're building a relationship with. Also a group of people, you get on with some of them, you really don't get on with some of them.
Imagine, yeah.
It's really tough. And I was only young, and like then to just go back to my desk and do my job, knowing that the show was going to come out in a few months, it was very overwhelming.
Is there much support in that process for you? Because obviously you were young, 25?
Yeah, 26 when I filmed it. Yeah. And I was the youngest on
it's quite a lot to shoulder, I think, that. Like, you've come, especially coming out of it and then going, oh, right, I'll just sort of hang around for the next 3 months until it's out.
Just go back to normal life now. It's, you do. And I will say that. I mean, they do try, and what's difficult is they can't really prepare for every scenario. Sure. So they can kind of help you to an extent, but they can't predict what's going to happen. And that was kind of what they kept saying. But we had therapists that we could tap into, so we could speak to them whenever we wanted. When we were actually filming, we had welfare.
Okay.
So welfare lived in. So they would live in the apartment blocks, and they'd swap out for different people, but we had like the main people that we had, and we'd build connections. The only concern with that is because they are internal, you were a bit concerned that like things you said to them would still get back to production.
They might form a friendship that compromises that relationship into that client.
Yeah,
patient-client relationship.
It was weird though, because welfare were like, they were like your family a bit. So then that blurred line of like, how much can I really tell them? But you wanted to really trust them, because it was really amazing having them there. Yeah. Like, I really valued having them. But you'd have it at the back of your mind. If I say this, is it gonna, that kind of thing. But the therapists were there, and I do believe that was, very confidential if you spoke to them. I did request some help afterwards, because afterwards the media goes a bit crazy, and I had a week where I had some like not bad press, but some headlines. Someone from another series was just making some stuff up, and it affected me, but I didn't want to retaliate in the media, but I just asked for some help speaking to a therapist. And you could do that. So you could ask for I wonder if even now if I said, look, I need some help, if they would. I mean, it's available, but it's not, I do think it's a very hard process to deal with.
Especially as a young person. What was the fallout like? Like, was there a lot? You mentioned a bit of negative there. Yeah. Like, what was that? But what was the general sort of fallout from it?
So, my first episode, like my wedding day, when it was filmed, it was, I'm not joking, like the best day ever. Our families got on, they were dancing together. My dad walked me down the aisle. Like, it was amazing. And our families...
Sorry, just to interject. Did your parents think you were mad?
Yeah, but like... My parents are mad.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
My mum.
Just Sophie being Sophie.
Literally. My dad sat me down and he went, why are you I just want to know the reason. Is it because you want to be famous? Is it because you want to meet someone? Is it because it will help you with da-da-da? And I just had a chat with him about it, and he was like, yeah, fine. That if you want to do it, I'll support you. And they were amazing, which is why it's so frustrating that they basically created this narrative at the beginning. I remember reading the TV Times thing, because I was in the newspaper as well. I went and bought the newspaper. It was very exciting. And then I was in the TV Times, or like, no, the description for the show was like, they do 2 couples, right, a night for the weddings. And we were intruder couples as well, which was more difficult. We went in at a later stage.
So not only was I the youngest on the show, but I went in later, and all of this, it was just hard. And it said basically it's usually one couple gets on and one couple does not get on at all. And we were like, we're obviously the good couple, obviously, because we had such a good wedding day. And I read the description and it said something like a clash of classes. And I thought, if they've gone down this route, I am going to be so upset. I had all of my friends and family at my cousin's house and we watched it. Oh, I get emotional. I cried my eyes out. I stupidly went on Twitter, which was my first mistake. I'm the most curious person ever. I was on Reddit threads and everything. You can't
help yourself, right?
Come on. I mean, you know, and I am just that person. And it is very tempting to have a look. Basically, they did this sort of clash of class thing. He's from a town in Yorkshire, very salt of the earth carpenter. And we're quite well spoken. That's literally it. My dad's from London. I mean, he's a bloody wheeler dealer, antique dealer. I mean, get a life. And then the most unjudgmental people ever. But they wanted a storyline, didn't they? And they ran with it.
And is that how it's edited?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know people will come and say that. I know that. But genuinely.
No, but I believe it. I mean,
yeah. Because people on the day, I had my friends. Do you know how embarrassed I was? I did not. Oh my God, everyone from work. I literally was like, my life's over. I just thought my life was over at that point because of what people were saying and stuff. But anyway, that happened. Over that weekend was probably the worst weekend of my life. I didn't want to leave my house. And then from there, it was all on the up. I think they showed me in my normal light. We did the honeymoon and that was amazing. We had a great time. And then we went and lived in the apartments and we, you know, started the dinner parties and meeting everyone. So it flipped. And that was, I think,
because
the
true
storyline
version came out or was shown properly.
Yeah. So everyone that met me was so lovely. Like I didn't have anyone say anything bad to me. You just do open yourself up, and it's the false narrative that's really difficult. If it had been a really awful wedding day, I could have watched it and been like,
or you'd have been a dick.
I'd have. Okay,
fair enough. Yeah,
hands up. You know, it is what it is. But because it literally was so far away from what I experienced. That's why I was like shocked. I thought, oh my gosh, what am I in for the rest of the series?
Yeah, because I bet you were dreading watching the other episodes.
I was, but I had a call with the producers. Because I was so upset, and then I had a call with another lady.
Do they care at that point?
Oh, they're so like media trained. They wouldn't admit to it. I was
crying.
Think,
at that point, they're probably like, soz, who gives a fuck? I bet not.
Yeah, well,
they're like them, but they're making a TV show, right?
They're like, it's done now. The ratings are good. You know, great episodes. But they just kind of didn't really take any responsibility or anything, which they wouldn't. But there was a lady that worked on the show, and we basically had like an after show thing that was every week on a Sunday. And she rang me because she heard how upset I was. She was like, because they were well far ahead in the programs, they like pre-filmed them, and she was like, everybody here loves you, please don't worry. But at that point I couldn't take that. You
can't see that, can you?
I literally was like, but anyway, from that episode, from the Monday, I'd wait Thursday to Monday for it to start again as well. That was the problem. I was on the Thursday and then it was back
at work in the meantime.
Well, I was off on the Friday, thankfully.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was so embarrassed. I was just like, I can't be in the office. But I had calls from people from work. And they were like, don't worry, that's not you. And also, it wasn't that bad. Everybody else was like, it wasn't as bad.
To you.
Yeah. So.
And what was the other fallout? So obviously, like the dread and that weekend sounded pretty bad. But what did you have any like fallouts from social media other than a bit of nastiness?
A little bit. So like I said, so there was a bit of a week where some stuff got completely misconstrued, and there was a girl on a previous series that kind of took it and ran with it, and I think that she kind of wanted to put her name back out there a little bit, and her and her agent decided to spread some stories about it and keep sort of selling them and keep pushing it. And I don't get involved in this. I didn't retaliate. I wouldn't go. They'd always call my agent and want responses. I'm not bothered. I don't need a bloody argument in the Daily Mail. I don't want.
That is just someone trying to get famous, isn't it?
It is, and you honestly, what some people will do for 250 quid is like, get a life. But this is why it was great having my job and everything.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't need that. I don't need to do that. So that was a really tough week, and I didn't get like hate, but I hated seeing these things in the media that weren't true.
Yeah, and feeling like you're probably a bit powerless to put them right.
Yeah, exactly. But thankfully, like on my social media, it wasn't too bad. But that was difficult. And then there was one article that came out like the March after, well after,
And basically there was a pap taking some pictures of, he had like a long lens camera, he was taking some pictures of some wags, he was trying to catch them coming out the Ivy in Manchester. Bit sneaky, they are a bit sneaky. And myself and someone from the show were just walking to an event, not even like a social media event, it was like a Manchester Young Professionals thing. And we'd had a little drink, we were having a laugh, we were on our way, it was like summer, I had like this short set thing on. And he saw us, he was like, oh, let me take some pictures. And we were just having a laugh. We were like, whatever, because we used to have to get them all the time. I thought, this isn't going to go anywhere anyway. No one cares. And he took pictures of us on the long lens camera or whatever. The next day, I look on the Daily Mail and there's an article and it's like, it says about what I'm wearing. It's like Sophie flaunts off her legs or something. And they always write it like that. It was like 10 comments, refresh, 20 comments, 30 comments. I was like, what is going on? I click on it. Every single one was about my weight, like negatively, about how I look like I put loads of weight on. It was things like, she's eaten Sophie, she's a whale. And it said in the article, they'd taken a quote from when I said it was a size 10 or whatever. They were like, yeah, just because you've got one size 10 item in your wardrobe doesn't mean you're a size 10. I mean, it was just brutal, really, really awful stuff on there. That was the worst one.
Yeah, how do you deal with that?
I don't know. I did a video about it. I wasn't going to, but I just was like, why as a society are we doing this? Like, especially to women. I was like, it's women bringing women.
You know full well it'll be some fucking idiot behind a keyboard who's got nothing going on in their life. That'll be the worst part of it.
I know,
but it's still a horrible thing to do.
Some anonymous stupid name that they've got on there or whatever that they're hiding behind. And I was just like, the thing is, I think because it was such a personal attack and it was about weight, and obviously that's like a triggering thing. So that's why it affected me. Some of the other stuff I'm not that asked about because, like you said, I mean, you know, God, what are you doing sat at home, you know, behind your keyboard doing that? I literally don't care. But that one just got to me. But it was a difficult week. I remember I went to London oh my God, it was really badly timed, but went to one of my best friend's weddings. It was incredible. St. Paul's, she got married in St. Paul's. Unbelievable. But it was a year since my wedding. And I just had that article come out. And I sat in my best friend went and had dinner with like someone that she knows. She was like, come. I just sat in the hotel room, like literally like staring at the wall. Like it did affect me. And then I got over it and I was like, do you know what? There's nothing you can do, is there? And
no, you've got mental resilience to do that, and some people would struggle with that, I think, more so.
Yeah, and as a female, it's blooming tricky because you're just constantly torn down for things, and it's like, you know, come on.
Yeah, you can't win if you succeed. You can't win. There's no right answer, is there?
That's what I felt like on the show as well. That's why it really annoyed me. So basically, they made this whole about my tech career. They made it like
it's a negative.
They played it so many times. I work in tech. Like that was a bit of a running joke. But I was like, oh my God, you've got like a reasonably successful
Hopefully
woman.
Some of your mates did rinse you suitably for some of those things.
Yeah, and I didn't mind them doing it, but it was like, oh my God, like, can't you just let the woman be successful? Yeah. Like, what's wrong with someone having an all right career? And it's mental.
Was there some good opportunities come out the back of it?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm really thankful even today. Like, I work again full time, which I decided to do. And yes, my diary's stacked and I don't get to do as many of the fun things anymore, which is a shame because Influencer Life, they put things on about 12 till 3 in the afternoon on a Tuesday, which is just not plausible for me. But, you know, I work with Race Day. I just did Carlisle races the other day. I love doing that. Love doing a bit of presenting. I just did some work with Amazon on a campaign. I just get to pick and choose now, which is nice.
Yeah, and I suppose because you've got your actual day job, you can pick and choose.
Yes.
So you're not just chasing everything. You don't have to get your PR to get into a spat and all that daft stuff that some will unfortunately have to do.
Yeah, and there's very good money in it. However, I watched, there was a good show actually that was about the Love Islanders, like kind of the ones that didn't make it. Mm-hmm. And it is really difficult because yes, Married at First Sight is huge. It's Channel 4's biggest show. Millions of people watch it. But my demographic is like, I don't know, women that are slightly older. It's not really the demographic on Instagram that you would necessarily kind of like sell to or whatever. Not that I really wanted to. But you're not that big. You're not like, you know, the big ones on Love Island and stuff where you're just going to go out and it's difficult. You're in this kind of middle ground where there's a couple of years of pretty good stuff and then you don't really know where to go from there.
Do people still stop you now or not really?
Yeah, a little bit actually. Yeah. I honestly forget. Yeah, I mostly get now.
I find that mad if someone just was like, "Oh, hi Eddie," I'd be like, "Who are you?" It'd throw me. Totally.
Yeah, at the beginning, it was mental. I'm mental. I used to go into Albert Schloss and it was just like crazy. And it was fun, but it was wild. Walking down Deansgate, like people would stop me and everything. It was amazing, but yeah, mental. But now most people are like, I really recognise you. Did I work with you?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure where from. And I think I look a little bit different than when I did on the show now. But people know people do. I mean, I was with my boss at a conference and a girl asked for a picture. And I was like, oh, this is a bit embarrassing. And he had to take the picture. I was like, better. Oh, God.
I love that. You mentioned earlier an ADHD diagnosis. Talk to me about that. It was obviously later in life you got diagnosed.
Yeah. So it was in lockdown. What triggered me going to, and I did it through the NHS, is because everybody worked from home. And I was like, how is everybody doing this? How is everybody
so difficult.
Sat at their desk for 9 hours and concentrating? I was like, this is hell. This is like horrible. So I was like, do you know what? I feel like I'm not the hyperactive, maybe sometimes, but I do think I'm, I've forgotten what it even is. Hyperactive, or what's the other one? Anyway, I thought I was more of the other one. And I was like, let's just investigate. You know, why not? I was on the wait list for over a year. So it's a really long time and it's expensive to do it privately. So I waited and I thought, because it wasn't super urgent. And then it was just after we finished filming the show that I got a call to say, you're at the top of the list. You can come in for your consultation now. Really, really weirdly, they make you fill out the longest form for the ADHD consultation, which for people with ADHD is like...
it takes you about 4 days.
Horrific, yeah. I remember my friend said she did it and then something happened to her computer, it disappeared. So she had to do it again. Like the frustration level is just through the roof. So then you go and do an in-person consultation. Quite long. You sit with them, they ask you loads of questions about childhood and everything like that, which I couldn't really remember that much, but we got into it. And then, I got my diagnosis. And a really lovely doctor. We talked about everything, lifestyle and all of that. But I tried the medication, really didn't like it.
Yeah, interesting. What effects did the medication have?
I remember I was working at the Hut Group then, and I was great in the morning, super like streamlined and focused.
And could you feel the difference? Like noticeably, like, oh shit, this is what I should be like, almost.
Yeah. Like I was just... It's crazy. I mean, it's like an amphetamine, isn't it? Like, it's like you take this thing and you're just like zoned in. I was like, wow. But this is why I found it a bit weird as well. Like, especially in a sales kind of commercial role, it was kind of like, don't take it on the days that you want to be yourself. Like you want your personality, because it like suppresses that. It's very weird. Yes, it allows you to focus, but maybe when you've got a load of admin stuff to do, or things you need to get done, or presentations. But if you're walking into a room and you're doing like a pitch or something,
then it's going to be no good.
It's not. Yeah, because I know it's a weird.
I can see why that would put you off.
Well, yeah,
because you're almost like altering
and it like suppressed my. I'm a very emotional, sensitive person, but it suppressed my like emotions, and then it would let them out. So I remember driving home from the Hut Group crying my eyes out, and I was like, what is going on? I'm just not getting on with this thing. And I was taking it so sporadically, like I would just take it on a random day, and my doctor was like, can you please just try and do it a bit more consistently, see if you like it. I just did it. I just stopped.
How do you find like ADHD just affects you generally, positive, negative?
Well, everybody says it's a superpower. And I think anything like that, especially in the kind of role that I do, like it does allow you to, the creativity and the kind of quick-wittedness and mindedness. And, it is good in the type of role that I'm in. The focus and things is quite difficult. My memory's a bit annoying as well. There's positives and negatives. I mean, I think it's always helped, propel me. And I think it sets me apart a little bit. And it kind of helps with that drive. But there are parts of it that are, like, I can be the most driven person. But I can also be so, what's the word? When you put things off and...
Yeah, procrastinate.
I can procrastinate really bad.
Yeah, I'm one of those. And what are you doing now? What's the focus? What's the passion?
Oh, so we talked about this earlier. I feel really content. Like I feel really comfortable, which is really lovely, because I'm still out of my comfort zone a bit, but all I do is do that and push myself. And it's nice to like... I'm 4 months into my new role. So I work within education recruitment. I'm director of growth and partnerships. We've still got that bit of strategy. We've still got, all the lovely client meetings, but I'm still out there kind of trying to get new clients, which is always exciting. And I go and do, careers talks, and go and speak to the students and go to events and loads of different things, and a lot of strategy around the sales process and things like that. And, working within colleges and stuff, it's a great environment. But I feel like, 4 months isn't a long time, but I feel so much more confident now in it than I did when I first started. Learning a new industry again, as per. But I really love it. It's a great company to work for. We've just got in the Sunday Times fastest growing companies.
Class.
Very exciting. And yeah, it's a really lovely environment. And I can still do some of the other stuff and do the podcast and do the presenting and things like that. But it has to fit around, my work now. And it has to, that's my focus and building my career. I wasn't done, basically. I did some freelance stuff and then I did some social media and things. And I just was like, I want to learn more. Like I want to be a leader in a business and I want to be, SLT and I want to be on the board and I want to do these things. I had to go get a job again.
Do you think you'll ever start your own?
I get asked this all the time. I'd love to. Eventually, I'd love to, but I'm pretty happy at the moment working for someone else. It's building a skill set. I think that
100%.
It's vital. I've always said
there's no rush.
There is no rush. There is no rush. I mean, I'd like to think I'm still quite young, so I've got a bit of time, but I want to build that skill set. I've always said I think I'll go in with someone on a business.
Mm-hmm.
They will have the idea and maybe be more like the operations and that kind of thing, and I can come in from that business commercial perspective and join up. That's kind of what I've thought before, but we'll see.
Yeah, amazing. That was Sophie Brown, now the Director of Growth and Partnerships at Talenta Group.